everyone, and welcome to Worth the Calories, a Great British Bake Off podcast. I'm Matthew Vose.
And I'm Catherine Vose.
This week, we're back with 20s week.
Yeah.
Some joke about us not being in our 20s.
It's been a long time, honey. Rip-roaring fun was had by all.
Yeah.
Let's Charleston it up to the cake stand.
20s week? You Gatsby kidding me? Gats...
You got to be kidding?
Gatsby kidding?
Yeah?
Great, let's get on.
Tad tenuous, wasn't it, as a theme?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been anything, frankly.
Yeah.
A mix of different types of things this week. Custard tarts, followed by baked pastry.
Deep
fried pastry,
yeah.
sorry, yeah. Followed by cakes.
Big cakes.
Yeah, the multi-tier cake
Yes.
decorated is a very old-fashioned bake-off challenge.
Yes.
That feels very much that thing. But let's start at the top. 4 custard tarts, highly decorated, open tops, and the custard set in whilst baking.
Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about.
That's exactly what you like to eat.
That's what I wanted last week.
What did you think of the challenge?
Custard tarts. I thought it was great.
What did you think of the attempts at the challenge?
The attempts at the challenge. So the challenge itself, I think, the challenge here was to produce 4 of the same thing and make the whole thing look glorious. And I think a lot of them did an amazing job. Right. There were a number of those custard tarts that I would have been happy to see served in front of me in high-class establishments.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah, what about you? What were your feelings on a custard tarty challenge?
I get what you're saying about it was to create 4, but they only tried 1 at random.
Yes.
So they weren't looking for consistency, or at the very least they weren't testing for consistency.
Oh, yeah, I get your point.
Visually, yeah. But
I think the volume just was adding the challenge. We're back into the challenge is the time pressure.
Yeah.
That was my feel.
You would expect all of them to be able to do a good custard tart.
Yes.
Now do 4 of them and make them look pretty.
Yeah.
In unusual
and make them
flavours.
Look visually consistent.
Exactly. Yeah. The biscuits that David did look incredible.
They were really good.
You could see them really being sold by that posh biscuit shop on
Biscuiteers.
Yeah.
$8.99 a biscuit.
Exactly, but you could see it.
Ridiculous expensive biscuits in the world.
But he did them very nicely. Like
Yes.
the lad's got skills on artistic skills, as we've said in previous weeks. Like this lot are a very creative in that sort of visual aesthetic.
Absolutely.
Very good at that. Note that for later.
Yeah.
I'm foreshadowing a future conversation here.
Foreshadowing.
Any flavours? Any of the ones that they made that stood out to you?
To be honest, the one that stood out to me is the one I didn't want to eat.
Oh,
which, as much as I loved the visual aspect of it with its kraken.
Okay, yeah.
I hate lavender flavour.
Yeah, and there was a lot of lavender from what they said.
Why would you ruin a custard tart by making it taste of lavender?
Yeah, to eat a custard tart and describe it as soapy.
Yeah,
that is a very bad thing. Like that already
Yes.
starts you out on a very bad foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of design over actual edibility for me. And the other one, I didn't really understand why Rosie had made matcha pastry.
Yeah, we've already had matcha this season.
Yeah,
that went badly. So why are they still trying to make matcha a thing?
Don't know. I mean, I have eaten the odd tasty matcha sponge cake when in Japan, but
yeah.
I don't think matcha is. I mean, just because it's powdery like flour, you don't necessarily need to put it in everything.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they tried very hard in a lot of places, but I'm not really feeling everything came off. David's got a handshake, and he went for a good custard tart that was decorated really nicely. Yeah. Did he even go for flavours on it?
No, and do you know what? Sometimes I think perhaps that's a sensible choice. Do the brief, do it incredibly well.
Absolutely.
Whereas everyone else tried to do something a bit different, which can work sometimes, but unless that's pulled off to make it better than the standard, then it's just not going to work.
Yeah, agreed.
Were there any of them that you thought, oh, that one's interesting, I'd like to eat that?
I think Michelle's blueberry and white chocolate could have worked, but the thing about it losing the blueberry flavour, yeah, absolutely. Because blueberries don't have that much flavour and it is very easy to lose it because it explodes into a nice-looking splodge.
Yeah, I wonder if she'd used raspberries instead of blueberries, whether the sharp fruit flavour would have carried through.
Yeah, possibly so. Would have been interesting to see what that does to a custard.
Yeah, could.
But, fine. Of course, we had the shots of Rosie dropping one.
Poor Rosie.
And we had the shots last week.
Yeah.
But they didn't let us know who it was. But the fact it was the green pastry, as soon as we saw what she was baking with, it was like, oh, okay, she's going to drop it at some point.
I'll tell you something, that made one heck of a stain on the floor, didn't it?
It really did, didn't it?
If we ever make that recipe, remind me not to eat it whilst wearing a white top.
But these things happen.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
The jelly thing was a really nice effect.
Beautiful.
But clearly didn't last.
Well, I think the problem was the tarts were still warm. It's the sort of thing that if you can cool your tart down completely before you put the pretty jelly flowers on top, I'm sure it looks amazing.
Yeah. And that's the sort of touch we were seeing in the professional shows.
Yeah.
So
that's a very clever technique.
Okay. Then we come to the technical. 18 Beignets Soufflés. Beignets? Beignets Soufflés with a Sauvignon? Custard creamy thing.
Boozy custard.
And raspberry jam in them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a choux donut thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a choux deep fried Ebelskiver.
Ebelskiver, yes.
Ebelskiver.
Yeah.
It's really
That's
not
a bad
massively
comparison,
different
actually.
to the Ebelskiver.
Much thicker pastry.
Yes.
Because the batter that you make for the Ebelskiver, of course, we could pour.
Yep.
And then we had to turn.
Yes, and this has got to form its ball before you even start the deep frying.
Yeah. I would have said this was a really difficult one because it had so many elements that people just clearly did not know, except for choux pastry.
Yeah.
But yet some people did really well. I mean, as Helena was doing it, you could see how confident she was. And she didn't seem to know what it was.
I think this was a memory test of, do you know how to make jam?
Right.
Do you know how to make choux pastry?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to make a custard Savoy type thing?
Yeah.
And if you just knew what you were doing, you were fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but she said the 4 skills. That's a fair point.
Yeah. But in particular, I think the people that fell down, poor Michael, bless him.
Yeah.
But he fell down because he wasn't confident in how to make a choux pastry.
Yeah. And it's the same thing that I think we've said before. If we were going on this show, we would know how to do 5 or 6 types of sponge, of pastry, of cream, of meringue from scratch. And especially going into each week, you'd sort of refresh your memory of these things, like study for it. But is it just there is so much that you could know that you just need to learn some of the basics and hope you can pick some stuff up? Because I bet they talk within the tent. They all figure it out between each other.
Absolutely. And I mean, the showstopper and the signature, you can plot and you can plan and you can practice. It's only the technical that you're going to have to suddenly go, ooh, choux pastry? Mm-hmm. And like even by the end, even Michael had kind of got somewhere.
Yeah, well, Michael ended up coming 8th. So he didn't come bottom.
Yeah.
Partially because David also really messed up his pastry and also did a second pastry. The second one, I think, came out as badly as the first.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Should we talk about doing it later?
Yeah.
So the Showstopper Challenge, Prohibition Cake.
Yes.
So when we're talking 20s, we're talking very heavily American 20s, not the British 20s. Because...
Yeah. Yeah, because we
didn't have prohibition in the same way, if at all.
Yeah.
Neither of us are historians, so...
I must say, like, when I think of the 20s, what do I think of? I think of flappers.
Yeah.
I think of Art Deco.
Yeah.
That's probably about it.
Yeah.
I don't even really think of Al Capone because that's an American thing.
Well, and it's... I thought it was a 30s thing.
Yeah.
The Great Depression, Prohibition. I always think of it in the 30s, but actually, no, it would have started in the 20s, so that's fair. And it might just be I'm wrong on my dates of things. So, okay. A 2-tier cake, cocktail flavours, visual spectacle of the 20s. There were like 4 different different sorts of cocktail done, because most people did a pina colada. Well, that's a bit boring.
Yeah, I like a pina colada.
Well, yeah, but there are so many cocktails.
It was a bit obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you do a Negroni cake?
I love Negroni. I think, how would I do a Negroni cake? I would probably have quite a simple sponge as the main base flavour.
Okay.
And I would have some punchy Negroni jellies in it.
Oh, interesting.
Like just little punches of the Negroni flavour. And to be being balanced out by maybe some smoother buttercream icing.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up off the top of my head now.
It's hard because it's such a bitter flavour.
Yes. I mean, I did say Negroni just
Instantly.
to make you wince.
To make me make that face that I made.
To make you make that face. I do love a Negroni, but yeah, what I also enjoy is how much you hate it. What did you say? What did you describe it as? Oh, I can't remember, but it was something very uncomplimentary when you tried it. So what cocktail would you have made and how would you have done it?
Well, a White Russian is a very good idea, although I was interested that they were going for the flavour of a White Russian, whereas I probably would have done sort of milky sponge, and then so some of the decoration elements and some of the icing as the other flavours, so the flavour comes together, rather than it has the flavour of everything in at one. I probably, however, would have gone for an espresso martini.
Yes.
Seems the most obvious easy, because a sort of coffee cake with that kind of Kahlua sweetness flavour to it. Maybe something even like a mudslide, but that is a dessert in a chocolate type of cocktail. It is a dessert in a cocktail anyway, so
true. Tasty good now.
I did laugh at the thing of, have you heard of a Vampire's Kiss? Yes, it's vodka and cranberry. It's barely a cocktail, but yes, it is a cocktail.
It's a spirit in a mixer.
Yeah. Okay, now, I said earlier, and we've said on previous shows, hey, this bunch are really artistic. They're really creative. They come up with these great things they're able to assemble that look great. That chicken and the sheep and some of the designs they've done have been really wonderful. I don't think anyone did anything particularly good here.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened this week. Although, I do feel that Priya got a harsher criticism than she deserved. They always give Priya short shrift. And I don't know that she deserved it. I thought hers looked perfectly nice. I thought
hers was very simple.
Yeah.
And it looked half done. If you're going to go for simple, you do it lots and you get it finished. I thought Alice's technique with the Art Deco was the right way to go.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right. There is this style, the sort of slightly fanned out style.
Yes.
That is emblematic of stuff in the 20s.
Yes.
And, you see it on designs around London, and every so often you go, that was done in the 20s.
Yep.
Yes. So that was the right way to go. Doing the ombre was quite a nice style, mixing different things together. But again, it didn't seem finished, and it was so simple, it should have been done perfectly.
Yeah.
It was done okay.
I can't even remember what did David do? I remember his wasn't amazing.
Oh, his was the amaretto one. That was more like a sort of naked cake.
Oh yes, no, his was all right.
Which was fine.
It was just a bit
sort of
sinking.
Yeah,
that was the problem with his. I didn't think Rosie's was very nice, but I think that's because I don't really like that amount of shiny glaze. I think it's my preference in icing.
Right.
I looked at that, I was like, I don't want to eat that.
I think one of the problems that they didn't go into, and I think they didn't go into it because she was staying, but she was doing a mirror glaze where she was putting traces of gold and other colours through it.
Yes.
And if it hadn't been so hot, and if it had been allowed to cool, if she had the time to cool it down properly, I think it would have been amazing. It would have been marbly and, really stand out. It would have been incredible. But I think it all ran a little bit and she lost some of the definition of them. Which is a real shame, because that could have come out, although, not your flavour, not the sort of thing you might have gone to, could have looked amazing.
Yeah.
But
it's that whole, hey, we're going to add an extra level of difficulty to your day because it's really hot. It's summer, and we're in a tent.
We're in a tent that has no air moving through it.
And hot ovens.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
So, but at the same time, they know what they're coming into. Like,
Yeah,
you know, you can
absolutely.
plan and you can prep for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all in all, and I think across all 3 rounds, no one particularly stood out.
Nope.
I don't think anyone... David got the handshake, so that's the one possible exception. I don't think anyone aced it. Even Helena in the technical, her Sauvignon Blanc split.
Yeah.
So even that was still, you know, you've done some of this well, but some of this not so well.
Yeah.
And that final round, it was just so middling.
Yeah.
All of them. And it's really surprising. And is this the sort of thing they all need to go through to be like, need to step up our game?
Yeah. Yes, because I think middling is a great phrase.
Thanks.
Because I don't really remember any of the cakes.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I can still remember like the chicken that
Yeah,
Rosie did.
exactly.
In that, you know. So
yeah, I would have expected with that brief to see some really beautiful things, some really interesting ideas. I think only Henry, I think David maybe as well, but only a couple of them really went for 3 layers, which intrigued me because again, in previous years, even possibly previous rounds, we've had people going, "Oh, I'm doing 3 tiers, I'm doing 2 flavors of cake, I'm doing."
Yes,
and I think I would have gone when I heard the brief. I would have gone, "Okay, I'll do a raspberry mojito and a lime mojito."
Yes.
2 types of cake in here, this kind of thing. No one seems to have done that.
I would have been interested to hear a bit more about Steph's cake. I mean, I know he praised the lime sponge layer, but she did seem to have different coloured and slightly different flavoured sponges within the layers within her cake. And I was like, oh, that was
interesting.
Quite good.
Yeah,
that was quite good.
And the sponge did look wonderful.
Yes.
But again, on a visual front, didn't stand out hugely.
I don't remember what it looked like.
Yeah.
I just remember there was a lime sponge in it. I was like, oh, I'd like to eat that.
Yeah. She had the sort of standy up, I think, white chocolate slats sort of thing. I think, again, going for an Art Deco style, but not really pulling it off, maybe. A shame, because I would have expected something really nice. So fine. And so it's no surprise that we had several people in danger of going home, 4 at least. Michael not in danger, despite his little meltdown.
No.
Because actually, like you say, he stayed there, he got it done, and he said, if I go, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And I completely get where he was, because I go through it as well. You just get so flustered, you just want to sit down, have a little cry, and move on with your day.
Yes.
Something like that. Like when you're trying to present and your microphone won't turn on.
Oh, sweetie.
Speaking last night of Matthew trying to do a live stream. So it's not surprising that 4 of them were in trouble. And it's really not surprising that 2 of them went home.
Yeah, it did feel like an appropriate week for 2 of them to go home.
No one had a particularly bad time, despite dropping a cake.
Yeah.
Rosie hadn't done that badly. And actually, you look across the rounds and, Helena had 2 not very good rounds, if not actually bad rounds, and we get 1 nickel. So there's no standout in either direction.
I think when they do technicals like the one they had this week, winning or losing it is virtually meaningless.
Yeah. Basically, everyone from 7th, so above Michael, first, there's not much in them. It's the quality of the actual baking and then the quality of the cream thing.
Yep, absolutely.
But let's talk Steph, who won Star Baker again.
Yep.
We talked about it last week. We'd said, she actually might be a dark horse for this, might come out. We didn't talk about the phone call with her mum, which made both of us well up.
Yes.
Where her mum said, maybe you'll now start believing in yourself. I know you won't.
Yeah.
It came back to me this week because of the way she reacted to getting Star Baker again. She seemed flawed, as though she'd been told to leave.
Yeah. She looks emotionally wrung out.
Yeah.
She looks exhausted.
Yeah. Just completely unexpected for her, maybe. Yeah. And again, because no one particularly stood out. But to then get it 2 weeks in a row and putting her actually possibly out front amongst all the other bakers. Maybe she is someone who either just as a personality doesn't believe in herself. Maybe she doesn't have, high self-esteem as an actual thing. But yeah, she's actually pulling something out here and doing.
I think she's excellent.
I'm going to say slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
I think steady wins the race.
Yeah.
She's just getting on, learning the competition, doing stuff each week that doesn't necessarily Certainly those first few weeks didn't stand out, but it's just starting to put it together and figure out how to do well.
Yeah. Let's watch for more from Steph.
I agree, and I'm hoping at the other end of this, Priya and Rosie, having had, certainly Priya, I think now a couple of weeks where it was so close for her, that she's going to go, right, I've survived, I'm going to push on.
Yeah.
Because is this now the thing that I said it didn't feel like there was anyone who would survive on other people going out until they got found out? I'm hoping it's not Priya.
Yeah.
I'm hoping now that everyone is competitive because it feels like it's a competitive group.
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe this is going to push the two of them on, I think, to be like, right, let's get into it.
Yep, absolutely.
Interesting. So we did some baking this week. So we actually recorded earlier about the baking. So let's hear how we did on that.
Interstitial music.
Okay, so this week we made Maids of Honor.
We did.
We made maids.
Made maids?
Yes.
We did make maids.
We did make maids.
We made maids.
I can't decide if it was complicated or not.
It felt like a long afternoon.
Yeah, it was arduous, I think.
Yes, there were lots of different tasks, and each of those tasks was something either new or complicated. Rough puff. Well, when I say complicated, rough puff is not.
No,
it's not easy.
No,
I don't think anyway.
I think part of the thing was it was all manual. There was no stand mixer, food processor, electric whisk, anything like that. And you know, it's a very old recipe from before we had gadgets, so that's fair. And I was determined to do it without gadgets.
Yes.
And I did. How did you do?
I also did it without gadgets.
Nice. Good.
Nothing electric, apart from the oven.
No, exactly. Yeah, the only thing was the heating of anything, so fine.
Yeah.
So it had lots of steps to it. One step was making cheese curd.
Yeah, that's easier than I thought it would be.
Which was very easy. I don't know why you would. What else is cheese curd used in?
Yorkshire curd tart. Nom nom nom.
No, this is a Yorkshire curd tart, so what else is...
Well, yeah. I don't know, actually. I've no idea.
I
don't know.
Interesting. One part of it was making dough.
Yep.
And then doing a lot of stuff with the dough. One part of it was making lemon curd, and then it was combining it all. And every step was somewhat physical, continually stirring, mixing, whisking, rolling, folding, grating.
Yes.
Lots of action verbs.
Yes. I was surprised and slightly horrified by how tired I got whisking my lemon curd.
Right.
I was like, Alexa, how long is left on the timer? Which was not what she said. She basically kept saying, no, Catherine, it's only 30 seconds since you last asked. Yes, you still have more of your 10 minutes to go.
Is that what she said?
That's exactly what she said in exactly those words. And if I'm honest, after about 7 minutes, I went, it kind of looks like thick custard already. I'm going to stop now. And it was fine. So
for me, it was the whisking of the curd to mix it all together because it was still a little lumpy, and I kind of wish I'd gone for longer. And I did debate adding the whisk attachment to my hand mixer and doing it that way, but I was determined not to. So I whisked and whisked and whisked and whisked, and then I whisked some more, and then I whisked a little bit more than that. I think it came out okay. I wish I had done it more.
Oh, that's interesting. So right at the very end?
Yeah.
You see, I gave it a cursory whisk it all together a bit. It's like, yeah, there's a few lumps, but there always are in a Yorkshire curd tart, and then poured it in. And I don't actually think the textures are that different.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I was over it by then.
Okay. You were a little bit. Making the curd was fine.
Fine.
Draining it through muslin was fine. Do we want to discuss the muslin? We don't have to.
I would be interested to have the feedback from our kind listeners as to whether on being told pass it through muslin and you had a piece of muslin, you'd just drape the whole lot over the pan and pass it through that muslin, or whether you would chop a little bit up and pass it through a little bit of muslin. Just putting it out there. I think my actions were perfectly normal.
So when I bought the muslin last year, I bought a roll of muslin.
Oh, okay.
That is 960 millimeters? 96 centimetres?
Almost a metre?
Almost a metre, so it's almost square.
Right.
And you put almost all of that, minus the 2 squares that I've cut for what I've done, in a sieve. Not folded, so it wasn't like super thick muslin. It was super shroudy, drapey muslin. And drained it through that.
Yeah, it worked.
And then you've washed it.
Yeah.
And you're going to put it back in a nice roll for me.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it worked. It worked. That was the point.
It absolutely did. How much cheese curd did you get out of it? You were supposed to get at least 200?
I didn't weigh it. It looked... it looked fine.
So you don't know if it was 200, if it was 260.
I figured
it was 140.
I figured it was enough. It was what it was. I wasn't going to make any more.
I think mine weighed to about 260, so I took some out when I actually mixed it in.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, who knows then?
Brilliant. Okay.
This is a good way of exposing the differences between us, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The dough.
Yes.
We saw on the show Helena forget to put water into it.
Yeah, I don't know how she got any kind of dough without the water.
The butter must have become incredibly melted. And
yes.
She must have had to really work it in to form anything.
It's effectively made shortbread.
Yeah. Without the sugar.
Without the sugar.
As they say, short cross pastry.
Yeah.
Fine. Do you remember how much water you put in? Did you do it bit by bit until you figured out how much?
I did it bit by bit
Okay.
using the little blue tablespoon scoop.
Okay.
I probably wasn't picking up full... I had a little bowl of water next to it. I did 7 of those, and they might not have been full.
Right.
I initially thought I'd possibly put a little bit too much water in there, but I think it's probably just about right.
Okay.
How much did you use?
I did 6. I did 4, then I added 1, and then I was like, oh, it's not quite... Remember how I said about the bread, when you folded it, it wasn't recombining again very well? This was just about doing that. So I added another 1, and I debated it, but I was like, no, I'm going to err on the side of caution here rather than anything else.
Yeah.
So, but it did become very silky in doing it. It was really reminiscent of the dough, the bread dough.
Oh, interesting.
In the way it went, but it recombined when you were folding it over. So I was like, I think this is about right.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things it possibly could have done with a little bit more, but it was fine.
Yeah, because mine never got silky.
Right.
It was always, is it too dry? Is it not too dry?
Okay.
But then it did roll.
Okay.
Well,
I wish I'd grated the butter first and then just lumped some grated butter on it.
Well, that's what I did.
Right. Okay. How did that go? Did that make it easier for the grating?
I think so. So what I did is I put the bottom of the grater, like the grater box,
the bowl,
on the scales,
right.
And I basically just grated from a block of butter until I had a frozen block of butter until I had 80 grams worth in there,
right? And
then I threw it back in the freezer.
Okay.
And then I did my rolling, and then got it out of the freezer and just kept it as cold as possible in its grated state.
Yeah. I kind of wish I'd done that. I think I would have put it through the hand grater. I'm saying hand grater, and you're the only person. So we have one that's got a handle on it that you hold over. The kind of thing you get in Italian restaurants when they do, do you want a bit of parmesan? And they grate the parmesan over your plate. I grated the butter directly onto my thing using that.
Oh, okay.
And comparing it to last year when I did grate the butter first and freeze it, I think this butter came out better for the rolling.
Oh, interesting.
I think part of that might be because as soon as you start touching it, it instantly melts and starts forming back together. Yeah. So grating it directly onto the thing, I think, was good in some ways. I don't think I ended up using enough butter because it was just piles and piles of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to stop doing this because it's just going to push out the edge and stuff.
Well, that's what happened to me.
Right.
I had my piles and piles of butter.
Yeah.
But I don't... And I think I need to see someone do rough puff on YouTube who knows how to do it. But I felt that there was butter squidging out of the ends, and then that got onto the outside of the dough. Okay. And I just felt like there was butter everywhere. And I got very cross.
Oh dear. You put all the butter on, you then have to fold it.
Yeah.
Like a book.
Like
and then roll it out, put the rest of the butter on, then fold it like a book.
Yeah.
And then chill it. Do that again for the folding.
Yep.
Then chill it, then do that again for the folding. I got the instructions slightly wrong in there.
Oh, yeah?
After all the butter was on, and you then wrap it in cling film, and it says put it in the freezer, in the fridge for a bit. I rolled it out, then folded it again, and then put it in the fridge. For some reason, I just skipped straight into and then rolled it out again.
Oh, okay.
So mine technically has an extra layer of lamination in it.
Okay.
But I don't think it's hurt it.
I don't think it's hurt it.
I was worried that in doing that, I had forced it all together. And I think by the last rolling out, maybe I had some of it just, it's a little compressed here. But by and large, I think it came out okay on the lamination.
I think it came out very well.
I think I'm all right on that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Blind baking.
That was fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed the blind baking. I enjoyed using the... Well, okay, the blind baking itself is fine.
Okay.
The cutting out of the circles
let's address
was not
the cutting
fine.
out. Roll it out to 3 mil thick.
Yes.
And then cut with a 10 centimetre cutter.
You do that, Prue. You show me with that amount of dough, whatever, pastry dough, that you can get 12 10 centimetre cutters out of that rectangle.
I'm not convinced of this.
I'm not convinced of this either. There was not enough dough.
No. I wish I had gone down a size to the 9 mil, because I managed to get 6 10 mil very comfortably, and I went down to the 7, I think. I'm saying mil, I mean centimetre.
Right.
I then went down a few sizes and went able to get a few more of them, but they were very shallow.
Right.
So all the in-between bits then got squidged in to make a ring and worked fine. Like, you didn't know until I told you what I'd done.
No.
You could not tell that some of them were made off merged bits of dough, and some of them were actually cut out that way.
Yeah, I did a similar thing. Like you, I got 6 fine, and then I chose to roll some of the leftover bits thinner.
Right.
And got a few more that way.
Okay.
And then some of them I'm just like, right, I'm just going to have to stuff bits in this pastry tin because all I've got are bits now.
Yeah.
So, but...
I think it came out okay.
Came out all right, yeah.
Okay. That was the bit, I think, where you were having the grumpiest moment.
I was a little fractious.
Okay, I just want to check that I knew exactly where it was. So we stopped talking for a while. And then we made up. And everything was fine. Blind baking?
Blind baking was fine.
Blind baking was fine. I am slightly excited to finally use baking beans about 20 years after I first heard of them. And I've always been like, I really should get some of them and never done it. And partially because I've not hit pastry as much as I did in my university and early 20s. I used to make a lot of pies and things. So it's quite exciting to finally use them. They get flipping hot.
Yeah.
And you have to be very careful with them. You make the lemon curd, which was fine.
Made my arm tired.
Oh.
But I'm going to make that again. That stuff is good.
And then you fill it with stuff. You make the filling.
Yeah.
With some or more whisking.
I think it is possible to get overly obsessed with the whisking. It would be my perspective on that.
And then you bake it all together.
Yeah.
So I'd warned you about the length of time it said to do the blind bake. Because I think that's a bit too long. I think that's actually a 15 to 18 minutes. Or at least 15 to 20, and it would have put me on the safe side.
I only did 15.
Right.
After your warning. Because I had a look in and I was like, actually, they don't look too bad. I was a little worried because I think when I took the beads out, I was like, oh, some of this is maybe not fully baked. Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't a hard bake. I wouldn't have put them in the freezer for later use with that amount of baking. Yeah. But they seem to have come out fine.
Yeah.
There's no soggy bottoms here.
I'd agree. They look all fine. Whereas mine were more browned around the edges than I would have wanted them to be.
Yes.
So I think they've ended up a little tougher because when I finally baked them, the top of the tart started going that sort of yellowy, browny, goldeny colour. But the pastry was getting so brown, I was like, I can't leave this in here. It's just going to be really rough.
Although looking at them now, yours are definitely not burned.
No.
So I think you took them out in time.
Yeah, I think I did okay, but I think certainly there were some at the back of the oven that were looking much, much browner and really going that way. So
fair enough.
Okay. I've never had these before. It's not a huge flavour that I go to. You know, a pastry, a not sweet pastry base, and then lemony and cheesy. So I think they're fine. I think the lemon curd was very tasty. But as someone who knows it and likes this taste, what do you think of them?
I think they're lovely. Right up my street. I mean, I was sad we didn't have an egg custard, but this is not so far from an egg custard.
Right.
And it has the improvement that it's got lemon curd, which I love in the bottom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm never going to make them again, just to be clear.
Okay.
But I'm very much enjoying eating these ones. In
Okay.
fact, I'm going to have to take some of them into work tomorrow, else I'll just eat
we're
a
just
lot.
polish them off.
Yeah.
Is there any difference between yours and mine?
Shall we find out? Interstitial music.
So was there any difference between them? Having just had them, I'm going to need to put some sort of musical fade out on, otherwise it's just us sitting here chewing and you hitting microphones with plates.
Okay, what's the only difference? Your pastry was lighter and flakier.
I think my pastry is much flakier, as I can tell by some of the crumbs that have fallen down.
Yeah. My pastry was a bit. I think my pastry is a little tough.
Oh, okay.
And I'm wondering if that is the escaped butter, if that is the... I was quite liberal with my flour to stop the pastry from sticking when I was doing all the rolling because the escaped butter was making it sticky.
I think it's because I think the lamination in the folding and butter, that bit, I think you've lost those layers. I think the layers that are there have come from further folding. So your layers are thicker.
Right.
Is the thing, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I would have described it as tough. Just thicker layers.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I love lemon curd, so I'm just like, what do you mean a teaspoon of lemon curd in the bottom?
So you'd already tasted mine when you came to bake them, and I think we had agreed the lemon flavour wasn't quite there. Although it comes through, it could come through stronger.
Yes.
So you've gone with more lemon curd, which I think is right, but also that's the sweeter bit of it. So that's the bit I enjoy more.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. It's interesting to me how the flavours all work together.
Right.
I really do not like the flavour of the curd bit on its own.
Okay.
I thought, especially in mine, I mean, I didn't taste it on its own in yours, but I was tasting mine before it got cooked. It was so ridiculously sweet.
Oh, that's interesting. Mine wasn't that sweet, but I think mine is a lot more lemony than yours. Did you put lemon in the...
I put the lemon rind. I put two packets of it.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Because I feel like the lemon comes across mine in general more. Yeah. Whereas yours has clearly got dollop of lemon curd in it.
Yes, I mean the lemon curd does overwhelm the flavours in mine, which is fine because I love lemon curd.
But at the same time, having tried your lemon curd just as lemon curd, I think mine was sharper.
Okay.
So I don't know if I end up using more lemon juice. How much lemon juice did you use? Because it says a lemon.
How much did I use? I got out one of the little bowls in the in the cupboard, like the little bowls, and just filled that up with lemon juice and used that much.
Okay.
I was like, how much is a lemon juice worth of lemon? How much is a lemon's worth of lemon juice? Bash it in. So
if only there were places we could turn to ask such questions.
I figured my judgment's as good as anyone's.
So I googled it.
Oh, really?
And a medium lemon is 2 to 3 tablespoons.
Oh, I put a lot more than that in.
Well, no, it's 2 to 3 tablespoons, so I put in 3 tablespoons.
Right.
And I feel like mine came out with a sharper lemon to it, whereas yours is a softer but sweeter lemon.
I don't know. Who knows? To be honest, I probably couldn't tell you how much I put in. Meh. Would you make them again?
Okay, no. Is the first answer. I'm interested to taste them from a genuine place. So if we do go to Kew Gardens and go to the original Maids of Honour opposite Kew Gardens that Abby linked to last week, I would stop in and give them a go. So Debbie at Debbles_1, who has made stuff and come on before and is trying the technical challenges as well, she sent me a couple of messages whilst I was recording a a film commentary about the Matrix. So if you're one of the people who listens back to that and hears 17 minutes in,
that's Debbie.
That's Debbie asking about these things. Because she was asking about whisking as well, and I was saying, use your muscles. It's got to be a traditional type of thing. Her comment was, liked the pastry, liked the curd, not so fussed about the custard bit, think an actual custard would be better. would it work if you did a sort of pastéis de nata type custard on top of the lemon curd? Or would it be a bit weird?
I think it would. I think it would just be a different tart, basically.
Well, because the pastry's the same. You still would put the lemon curd in there, but you make a lemon eggy custard tart.
Yes.
Would it work? I'm wary of doing that and thinking, actually, that's a bit weird. I think the sweetness...
I think the texture of the lemon curd and the pastéis de nata might be a little bit too similar to actually feel that you were having something different. It might just feel like egg custard that blended into lemon.
Would that be bad?
Not necessarily, but it would definitely be different.
Or is a pastéis de nata so good on its own?
Yeah.
That why would you add lemon to it?
I would happily add lemon curd to most things. But
Spread it on top.
But if I was going to put something in the bottom of a pastéis de nata, it would be more likely to be cherry compote.
Okay. But a fruit flavour on top of that wouldn't be so bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So I could see doing these again, but I'd probably return to that sort of cake, that sort of bake, because I quite enjoyed doing that. I like doing the swirls on the bottom. It was quite an achievement to have gotten them in there that nicely. And I feel like I'm a little bit better at rough puff now.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done this better than any of the other technical challenges, and I feel like I've enjoyed it more than the other technical challenges.
Oh, interesting.
And some of this is my sort of baking.
Yeah.
Very much in my milieu. Yeah, I feel like I've done stuff here that's like, oh yeah, I could see me doing this for another thing, and making compotes and making this sort of thing.
You see, I am the other way around. I've enjoyed the other technical challenge a lot more. I think this one was beyond my threshold of faff that I'm willing to put up with.
Okay, right.
Yeah. But that's possibly because I got so cross with the rough puff. If I'd come out of that going, yeah, I'm all over rough puff pastry,
yeah.
maybe I'd be thinking differently.
Yeah, I think some of this it's more akin to the sort of chemistry side of baking that I appreciate.
Yes.
Exact amounts and, draining things, turning one thing into another thing into another thing. That's what I quite like about baking. So, seeing, especially actually doing the pastry, because you do some butter and some flour, and then you do some water and you see it become a dough, and then you put some butter into it, and then you see that become a folded puff pastry. That's quite a nice step by step by step.
I found it such a great release to just make an arrabbiata sauce afterwards, to just be like, yeah, bosh, throw a bit of this in, stir it all up, done.
Yeah. I did say you would appreciate it as a simple thing after
exactly.
Because it felt arduous. I think it's about a 4-hour bake.
Yes.
It's only the amount that I spent on it. I don't know if you ended up about the same.
Yeah, I think so. About 1:30 through till 5.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
It was tough at times because it's so physical, and because there's a little bit of resting at one stage in between all the stuff, but generally you're just non-stop doing things. And actually Debbie said she'd done hers one bit Friday evening, one bit on Saturday, one bit on Sunday.
Okay.
And then combined it all. And I think, her opinion of the thing was the same as ours in general, but that was the easier way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel that it took over my entire afternoon today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got lots of tasty...
Good job they're tasty.
Well, you got lots of tasty tarts out of them.
I did get
I think these have been the ones so far that have been the easiest to eat.
Yes. Tasty.
Or the ones we're most likely to go to eat.
I'm
trying to even remember what the other ones were.
Oh, well, I enjoyed the burger baps last week.
The burger baps.
Yep. Fig rolls.
Oh, the angel cake, which was...
Angel cake is never... It just wasn't to my taste.
Yeah. And was so complex that large parts of it didn't go well for us.
Yes. So, yeah...
And the fig rolls, just no one was going to eat them because they're fig rolls, so...
Oh, I think fig rolls were good. my lovely colleagues at work like the fig rolls.
They did, as did your dad.
This is true.
Okay. I'll do a wrap-up on the show in the week.
Yep.
How does that sound?
Yeah. Sounds good. Interstitial music.
Yep, so we made whatever they were called. Maids of Honour.
Maids of Honour,
curd, tart things that went down quite well at your workplace, sounds like.
They did.
They went at the very least, so that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
This week they did the deep fat fryer donut things.
No, and
Can we fill your Instant Pot with fat?
No.
Can we fill the giant frying pan with fat and
No.
boil it?
No.
That does not sound like fun.
I am just far too clumsy to want to be around a lot of hot fat in one go.
Yeah.
So it's not something I've
It's
ever.
so easy just to do something wrong.
It's not something I've ever wanted to do as a cooking style, and I think we need to come up with an alternative.
Yes. So there were multi-tier cake, or there were custard tarts.
Yes, custard tarts.
Do we want to do this challenge for each?
No.
Or they have done custard tarts as a technical before.
Yeah, or there could be some of the recipes from the actual signatures up. We could just do one of whichever one we fancy.
So up so far are Michael's and David's.
Okay.
And there might be others up there.
To be honest, I'd be happy with either of them. I like mango. Michael's was like mango and ginger, wasn't it? And David's were beautiful.
Michael's was mango, lime, and ginger tarts.
Mm-hmm.
And David's was David's fancy custards.
Yeah, I'm not doing David's biscuits. That's not happening.
This version of them is, I'm sure, not the version he decorated. The biscuits on this picture.
They certainly don't look flirty.
No.
I will do Michael's.
Okay. As a custard tart?
As a custard tart.
Okay, I will do David's. And we will compare. Perhaps we can try and do them at the weekend at some point.
Yep.
With all the spare time we have.
Yep. Probably going to have to be Saturday.
If you do it on Saturday, I'll do it on Sunday.
Yeah.
There we go.
Super.
And we will compare custard tarts instead of comparing beignets.
I might even do two.
Ooh.
One for us and one for me to take to my friend Sarah's for lunch on Sunday.
Okay. Or you could take it entirely. Oh, no, because I want to try it. That's
well,
fine.
exactly.
Let's see. Because the only technical custard tart that I can find they've done in the past is pastéis de nata.
Okay.
Which I've done. I'm not sure you want to do.
And it's not the sort of custard tart that I'm thinking.
Okay. You want a big...
I want a big
large amount of custard, don't you?
Yes.
There's a lot of custard left over.
Yes. With lashings and lashings of custard.
Nice. Okay. Baked in the oven.
See.
With a bit of a wobble.
Wibble.
Right, so we will see how that turns out. We will be back next week where it is... Was it pudding week?
There was chocolate involved.
There was lots of chocolate involved. I'm sure it was pudding or dessert week.
Oh, that'll make us happy. I can't either. No idea.
Good. We will be back next week for a very exciting comparison of different types of custard tart.
Yay, Wibble.
We will see you next week.
Bye. Interstitial music.